Hey guys, and welcome to a video that I have done kind of last minute. This one is getting recorded pretty late, so I'll try to be as quiet as I can. But yeah, this is something that I have been working on. Obviously, I've been quiet on the channel, kind of working on work, essentially, not having much time for podcasting and other things. But this is something obviously I'm going to do inside of the channel now. I'm going to try and do more 3D stuff, where I probably break down processes, stuff I'm working on, maybe even some tutorials depending on what you guys want to see. But something really interesting I've been doing recently is building tools. It's something I've just done today after having to think for a long time about my process, which is something I don't think I've really talked much about in this channel, is 3D tools that make your workflows a bit more coherent and a bit quicker. And for me as an artist, one of them that I've been working on recently is for exporting. So if I'm moving stuff into ZBrush or I'm moving it into exporting to go into Substance Painter or any other program like that, I was always having to click away up into menus to freeze transformations, move stuff back to world zero, you know, clean up topology, soften or harden edges, stuff like that. So things I was doing a lot, rather than automate it, which I think is a whole other side of coding. I combine my mind with some parts online and Google search some stuff to find some easy solutions where I could just build a menu essentially. And so I built out this small menu, which if I click here, you'll see. Yep, this is Brushbox Export Tools. Brushbox is kind of the brand I'm using for most of my stuff now, because you know there's a whole explanation I'll go into why I've called the Brushbox. But yeah, basically this is what I'm using now. It comes in multiple flavors. The one I'm using just now, if I go into tools in here, the Brushbox export tool, sorry, if I open it in Notepad quickly just to kind of see it, yeah, it was something I came up with last minute, just thinking about how I wanted to use it and what it would most be useful for. If I open again, yeah, okay, so yeah, it has a couple of great features. One of them is, you'll see just straight away, is that if you expand the window, it will fill and scale the buttons as needed, although it's all meant to be this big, because I didn't want to get it in the way of stuff I was doing. Because I usually work with Maya, sometimes we work with the whole kind of window out. I sometimes work with it where, you know, most of the canvas is gone up in the top and the bottom, because I use most of the contextual menus. So when I'm modeling, I'll hold down shift and right click, you know, and control and right click and stuff like that to get menus that are relevant to what I'm doing. I also have enough of a workflow these days where, you know, I know what I'm doing, so I don't need a lot of big menus around here. And this menu was kind of part of this, so when I was going through the process at the end, it would speed it up tremendously. Now, this is something I'm working on just now. You can see there's textures in this, but what this does is, if you were preparing stuff to go out, so what does the tool do? Okay, less flabbing about. One of the hardest things to do really quickly is bring your stuff back to world zero. So when it exports and goes into other programs, it is at zero and it isn't, you know, way off in the distance. And so if you click this button here, it will move to world zero. It will also tell you at the bottom, because I included this small window at the bottom that tells you it worked. If you don't have anything selected and you press it, it will tell you error, no object selected, please select an object to move. So it's very clear indication if you try to do stuff and it's like, oh, it's not working. They're there as an indication, mostly because of me, because at one point I was clicking through things and I was like, why is it not working? I was like, oh yeah, I haven't selected anything. So idiot proof basically for me. So yeah, if that insults you, I do apologize, but I think it's a great little addition to the window. Also with pivots, sometimes your pivot will be centered. If you click this little button here, you can center pivots. Of course, you know, if you move it, you know, for example, if you're moving about your object or your pivot and you hit insert, as I do, and which you can move your pivot to wherever you want. You can also shift and click to attach it to stuff. So for instance, a pivot there, you know, for example, insert again. So my pivot's now there, and now everything works around that pivot, including rotation. Basically, yeah, this kind of gets a bit, you know, convoluted on the sense that, you know, you could do this for, you know, here's one object, boom, there's the middle, okay, maybe even move it back a bit, right, okay, yep, okay, great, you've done it for that one object. Now you have all this other stuff in the corner, which I'm working on right now, that needs to have the same thing done before it's exported. This is just a smaller list of things to be done, but like, you know, if you had hundreds of objects, thousands, who knows. Again, it's all about saving that time at the end. So yeah, essentially it does a couple of jobs. So you move to 0. If your pivot is centered and you want it centered and you hit move to 0, of course it'll move that to 0 within that. But then if you move pivot to bottom, which is a button, I think it's quite really handy, move to world 0, there you go. So it's now ready to be exported at world 0, and your pivot is, you know, as bang on the middle as it can be. It will average it out, so it won't always be dead center, but you can play with things, but it will always mostly go to the center, even like in the case of stuff like bigger objects like this bookcase. Again, if you hit, you know, move pivot to bottom, it's going to do that, move to 0, yep. And you'll see again, it's not exactly middle, but it's going to average. So like, yeah, you get the idea with how this looks and how it would work basically with bigger objects and smaller objects. Other stuff you might want to do before you export, sometimes things I do, if it isn't quite within your editor, if it hasn't quite zeroed everything out, you can freeze transformation to make sure that it has. If you need to combine or separate things before you send it out, because you might want to put it into different polygroups or subgroups, you can also do that. So you can hit separate and everything will obviously pop out with that bottom part. But also, if you want to, again, you can hit center pivot. So you've got more control again over the individual parts. If you want to move those back, and when you are done, you can then select everything again and hit combine. And again, your pivot should stay if you haven't moved it. Also, soften and harden edges. Depending on some of your cylindrical objects, you might have some soft edges where you have soft edges where you want, you know, more hard edges. That can be done fairly quickly. Within this, you'll probably see, depending on how things are smooth or how things are red, you know, you maybe want to soften a part here, or, you know, harden a part here, for instance. So if you hit your edge and then you hit this one and then you hit soften, you can see there you've got a softer edge now compared to the one on the right, because you can see with the normals, that light is obviously traveling further across because it's not been stopped by the hard edge. Click again, hard edges, boom. So again, just a really quick thing where you can use that, you know, again, if you're just wanting to quickly alter some things that you see last minute, or you want to change how your model kind of interacts with light, or how it's going to go out into different programs like Unreal or Substance, that is quickly there as well. The biggest thing also is just the mass export. This works under export selected. So if you select two things, one thing, whatever, as long as it is selected, it will export. Again, of course, as you know, if you select multiple things at once, depending where they are in the world, they'll be combined together as one object, if they aren't separated already. So yeah, if you hit export FBX, it will export an FBX to whenever you're going to send it, and will already be predefined as an FBX to save you time. Or OBJ, same thing again, it's going to do OBJ at the bottom, which you can see, and that's all taken care of for you. Again, all these things have little menu prompts here so that you can see them as they're happening. You know, if you have any issues and you don't know what's going on, as long as these are green, which is great actually, because it's within the UI code as well, that if you get an error message, it props up red straight away, so you know something's wrong, and green if it's right. So it won't just say grey or white, it actually gives you color-coded feedback so that you know what's happening. If I cancel that out, you can show basically how this works across Maya if you want to install it as either a menu or just a straight code you can throw in to one of the shelves. I have it up here, as you can see. If I left click on it, then it opens up into this little UI that I've built, and then you can work from there. It's fairly easy to install through the menu system I have here. I've gave a couple of variations that I've included in the zip file. The export tools is the UI you seen earlier, and the tools menu is something a bit fancier. If I want to then build out a more complex version of it and add on other tools, then I can add to this menu. But basically what you can do is, because I've already imported it, so within the folder you get a couple of things. You'll get an icon, which I don't think has any issues with copyright or anything because you're using it for Maya, but it's just a quick little menu thing if you want to make a little cool little menu icon like I did. If you open your script editor as such, and this is going to move within here. I don't want that to do that. Thank you. Yeah, I've got to be careful with this because obviously moving it up and down it's a bit of a pain. Yeah, so you can just literally drag this py file, this Python file, into the Python window. It will dump the code. You can then easily hit Control A to select all, which is this whole thing. You can right click and drag down to hit execute, or what I usually do is just Control Enter and it runs it. So that's the menu essentially. But If you then have the code selected still, if you left click and drag and move it up to the shelf, let go, it will say save script to shelf as type. If you select Python, it will add a little icon here because it doesn't have an icon preset, so it just gives it a default. And again, if you click on it, make sure it works. There you go. Boom, it's opening. If you right click, and hit edit, you'll have the command line in here with shelves, and then you can see down here, it's got not a kind of really shorthand because it's doing a lot of things as a script. But then if you hit the little folder icon, that's there. Save all shelves, and you can edit, you know, the icon and the shelf name and whatever else you want to do, and the label on it if you want. But I just had this little fox head because I thought it was cool. Again, you click on it, yeah, it'll open. This will be here, and you can have this any size you want. You can move it across here, up and down, whatever. Yeah, that's it there. The second version of it, which is the more advanced one, which I'm working on, basically is the tools menu, which will be up here in the menu bar settings. So to do that, that's not complex, but just a little more moving parts. So basically, apologies, my camera's fluttering on and off, by the way. It's a bit haywire tonight. Yeah, so in your scripts setting, so if you go into your documents, where it typically will be in Windows, I'm not sure about Linux and Mac, but within Windows, if you've got your documents, Maya folder, 2025 is the version, and then scripts, you'll be in this folder setting here, and then within here you can basically dump the BrushFox tools menu Python file, and then what you can do is come over to here and hit import space, and we'll go back to the Python file, copy the name, or you can type it out. I'll just copy, select all, and execute. And you'll see at the top here, this has now appeared as a menu bar. If you left click, you'll have a drop down. This is export tools, because this is the first tool I've built, so it's within a range of other things I'll build, but right now it's just this. If you click on this again, it does the same thing as the button. It'll open that very same menu. You can see this one here is exactly the same as this one here, and they do the same thing. It just depends how you want things to be placed. For some ones that I have built in, I've obviously put them up here for more ease of use, but of course if you just want to put it in as a shelf item, you can do that. Yeah, that's the code jumping up. But that's about it. Yeah, the export tools system is here. I'll leave it in the description. I'll leave a link for the Google Drive file. You know, again, as just a starting out thing, if you guys want to just check it out for free and let me know if you use it in Maya, if it's any good. Again, my details will be in the readme file, and you guys can reach out to me and let me know what you think about it. And if you want me to build any more, I probably will do more videos on 3D stuff that I'm working on. As you can see with this scene, this is still ongoing, but is close to being done. Right now it's just in the stage of moving it to ZBrush, like giving all this stuff a little bit more love and attention, and then into Substance to texture it fully, and then once it's done, the scene should be finished. Okay, great guys, thanks again for watching this video, and let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you guys later.